Course. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Great. Can you hear me clearly? If yes, please type one. Okay. Bravo. Merci. Merci. And I start recording the session. So if you remember, we talked a little bit about pandas. We covered the basics of pandas last week. And the quiz is all about the basics of the pandas for today. So I quickly go through the content, and tomorrow we are going to continue our journey. Right after finishing the session, you can open your quiz, and you have time till tomorrow night. But whenever you start the quiz, you have just 6 minutes to finish it. My suggestion is going through the content and then opening the quiz to just evaluate what you have learned from it or what you need to improve. The thing is, what we have as the data set in pandas, we just call it data frames, right? And mostly we use either comma separated values or tab separated values, mostly comma separated values because of the better features that it provides for us. So these are the things that if you want to go to Jupyter Notebook in Anaconda, but we use mostly Colab. The first thing is we need to import the pandas and saying pandas as PD so that the alias is something that we use it instead of just always saying the long lengthy name. The data set that we started working on was data/chipotle.tsv tab separated file. And you can find that in the content of the pandas. I provided a folder named data, so you can just, download those files. That's not needed because most of the things that we're going to work on, they already have a GitHub URL that we use the bit.ly, the shortened version of that GitHub URL. So simply, if you just say http bit.ly chipotle, you can see the content. I invite everybody to just drag and drop on that, or this is slide number 2 we already have. So please just type that and see if you can see similar content. It means that some columns and rows. And if, I'm sorry, for the @class code, that's a good thing. And because I do not want to forget, I even took a screenshot from it. So the @class code is HZ2X. Please just let me know if it works, Luis. Okay, thank you very much. So again, HZ2X, I'm going to just type it here, HZ2X. Please, thank you very much. Please help your friends if they ask later. Okay, any other concern? Okay, so the thing is, if you just type that, you're going to see it provides a kind of table for you. Huh? And the next thing that we are gonna do is, just remember when you work with Anaconda, there are lots of places that you would receive kind of pinkish color warnings, and it says that this, for instance, command or switch is deprecated, and we are not going to support it in next version or next versions or something like this. But don't worry for Colab. The good thing about Colab is everything that we need. We don't need most of the things to install anything. It happened to me that just once I needed to install something, and the rest is all updated. The needed packages are already installed, and we rarely come up with any warning that there's incompatibility of the versions of the package and the pen and the Python by itself. So the thing is, for getting the first 5 rows. We just type order.head. And this is the Bitly version of whatchamacallit, movie users. So please, everybody, type that pd.read table. And the quiz for today is based on the questions that I'm going to ask you in the next few slides. If you could just get the result, something like what I see on the slide number 19, please type 2. Am I audible? Okay. Awesome, thank you. So after you finish typing that pd.read table, read underscore table, and Bitly movie users, please type 2, and if you get the result. Okay, thank you, William. Zoe, merci. Okay, so after that, the thing is, it doesn't look like very much like a table. So the delimiter that we have here, guys, what is your guess? What is the delimiter here? What is the thing that separates fields from each other, separates columns from each other? Yes, Prakash, bravo. It's the bar sign. So in order to tell that, hey, this is the delimiter here, this is the separator here, we need to say sep equal to, please just remember, we need to say sep equal to either single quote or double quote, both works, but the keyword is sep, and it is the bar sign that you see here. And the problem still exists because it considers by default that the first row contains the row headers, which is not the case in this data set. So we need to say that, hey, there is no header for this one. What is, guys, what is your guess? What is the thing that we need? What is this the switch that we need to add to consider there is no header? Anybody? And I suggest that you search it, because if you see it somewhere as a question, then you can always remember the answer. So, Natty, they are the column headers, but the question is, lovely, yes, these are the things that our friend said. If you want to set the header as none, as everybody said, you need to say header equal to none. Does that make sense? So in that case, you see in a form of Excel shape, we just have 0, 1, 2 as the column number 0, column number 1, column number 2, and so on. But it doesn't make that much sense. What we want to say, the first column is ID, as Natty said. The second one is the age. The third column is gender, and so on. So for doing that, we need to define, as you see, we need to define whatchamacallit, the column headers like user ID, age, gender, occupation, zip code, and so on. And simply we say names equal to user calls, right? We say names equal to user calls. And can I go to the next slide? After that, if you say, okay, show me the result, the headers, the column headers are already set. So please remember, let me ask you and see your question, see your responses. Please tell me, what is the name of column headers whenever you want to change it the way that we did? In Pandas, how do you address column headers? Do we call it columns or column headers or what? Okay, guys, I repeat the question again. And I would be grateful if you just answer to everybody, because if I type something, then it's going to just be your answer. Users.columns unset indices. Or okay, I'm very happy that I reviewed. Only one gave the correct answer. Yes. The thing is, it is, guys, as you see here, it is names. It is names. The property that we deal with to change the column names is names. Does that make sense? So let me just ask you once again to make sure that those people that they show up today, they're going to answer that question. So what is the property? What is the property or attribute that we use to change the column headers in Pandas? Please type. Lovely. Okay, awesome. Let's go to the next. I already showed you here, and it's in one of the classes. I just showed the result. So imagine that we have some columns that we have some rows that are the attributes that we say, for instance, this file is written by Reza and so on and so forth. And we don't want to consider that part as the major part of the data set. In that case, we say skip rows equal to, for instance, 2. If we have 2 rows that we mentioned, Reza is written this, and in the next line we said the data set is updated on something. So we have 2 rows that we don't like to include as the major part of the data set because they're our comments. And maybe in the footer part, we explain something different too. So there are 2 ways to handle those kind of situations. One is manually we get to the file and just stream them and just save them again. The other way is simply using skip rows and skip footer the way that you see we have it here, right? So in this very example, we say skip rows equal to 2, means ignore the first 2 rows. And the last one says skip the last row of the data frame because they are not part of the data frame. Okay, by saying that, now it's the time to go to the next part. Guys, if everything is clear so far, please give me the first high five, type 5. Merci. Oh, what happened? Just close this. Bravo. Wow, lots of high fives. And let's go to the, thank you very much, everyone. Let's go to the, oh, that's the, Peter, that's the very genius way of showing 5. Awesome. As always, we are gonna start the PowerPoint with a question. And the question for this one is, how do I select a pandas series from a data frame? The pandas series is another name that we can use for columns. So let's go to the next thing. And I want you, please tell me in a very brief definition, what is a data frame? Just anything is acceptable. If you want to remember pandas data frame, how do you explain it to your friend? What is a data frame? Would you please type your answer? Algor, yes, it's a kind of table. What else? A 2D data structure. Malik, bravo, yes. What else? It's a data structure that is, let me just make it a little bit bigger, then I can just read more. Alice said it's a data structure that is sort of like a spreadsheet. Bravo, Zoe says. A data structure that has rows and columns. Bravo. And Ansad, a data frame is a unified storage method for defining 2D structure efficiently in Python and then using them mathematically. Excellent, Anand. Yes. In short, we can say it is pretty close to the concept that we know as data set in elsewhere. And series are nothing but another naming for columns that we have, right? So the question is, how do we select those columns from a data frame? Let's go and let's fetch a data set from our bit.ly source, and that is bit.ly /UFO reports, and please use sep equal to comma. Whenever you get the result, I would be grateful if you just type 1 to show you already see the UFO or you get the result so far successfully. You can simply say UFO.head to check the first. Bravo, Ali. That's one of the solutions. We are going to talk about this extensively. Merci for telling. Yeah, thank you. So you can simply say UFO. For those who watch the recorded video later, Ali said, can we use, for instance, UFO bracket double quote, double quote, the name of a column and then double quote and close brackets. That's what we want to see. Okay, if you get the result, please type 1. Okay, awesome. So as you see here, instead of using table and saying sep equal to comma, the best is to use directly tab separated file, which is, comma separated file, which the proper method for it is pd.read_csv. In that case, you don't need to say sep is equal to single quote, comma, single quote. After that, please make sure that you check the type of UFO, and it should tell you it is a data frame. If everything works fine in slide number 5 for you, then please type 2. Thank you, Zoe, William, Ivan, Anand. Okay, now it's the time to check the head, but as a suggestion, please add a number between parentheses, like say 3. Now, from this data frame, we want to check only the content that we have in a column named city. For doing that, one of the options that we have is simply saying UFO, as Anand suggested, saying bracket, single quote or double quote, both works, city, and then we should get the result as you see on slide number 7. Please confirm by typing 3 if you get similar results. Thank you very much. Thank you, Algora. Okay. Would you please tell me what is my mistake here that I could not get a proper result? Yeah, excellent. So it shows that how case sensitive it is. Yeah, Anand, Enes, Zoe, all of you are correct. Bravo. And the thing is, if you check, we can simply check the type of anything by saying type and pass the thing that we want to check inside the parentheses, and it says this is a series. And we can understand when we say series, it is nothing but a column. Huh? So if whatever we see on slide number 9 is clear, please type 4 this time. Okay. And now I want you to try one thing. Instead of saying, thank you very much, instead of saying UFO brackets, which we call it bracket notation, please type UFO.city and see if you get the same result. I'm not sure, but if you get the same result, please give me the second high five, type 5. Lovely. Excellent. Bravo. So we see that it is possible to use, let me go back to this slide. So instead of saying UFO, bracket, single quote, city, single quote, close bracket, instead of that, you simply can say UFO.city, which is quite faster, easier. So the same way, I want you please, for the second column, let me just use a laser pointer. Yeah. Do you see that the second column is colors reported? So I want you please use UFO dot, I'm sorry, UFO dot, where is it? Colors reported. And if you get the same result, please type 6. Nobody? What is the message that you get? It means Anand, it's a kind of error. Yeah. Okay. Ali, how about you? William, Data from object not, okay, lovely. So you see that it addresses, it says something like attribute. What we can understand is in normal cases, when we have column names like only just city, something like that, it considers city as a sort of attribute, attribute of a data frame. Does that make sense? I'm telling you when it is normal cases that we have just, for instance, one single name like city or like state or like time. Do you see that? But for the cases like colors reported or shape reported, it's not the case. In that case, we do not have any option except using bracket notation. So instead of saying dot colors reported, everybody please say UFO, brackets, single quote, colors, space reported. And in that case, would you please confirm that you see something like this, like not a number, not a number? Okay, bravo. So you see dot notations work just when you have one single name and there is no space. So if a column that we want to access is the same as the method name, that's another issue. For instance, imagine that one column name is, yeah, I tried a lot. Imagine that you say UFO dot colors underscore, what do we call it? Reported, or just delete the spaces. Doesn't work. They do not work at all. The only thing is using a bracket notation instead of dot notation. But what we can get from this one is another problem that we could have is whenever you say UFO dot, one of the things that you could see is something like shape, right? So shape by default is one of the properties of UFO. What if you use the same column name in that data frame? So it's going to confuse Python. Which one you mean by saying that? Is it clear? So the other problem that could happen using dot notation is when the name of a column header is similar to a name of a method. In that case, dot notation doesn't work either. And you would be better off using brackets. If it is clear, please type 1. Okay, so let's read it together. Thank you very much. If a column that we want to access is the same as a method name or attribute, such as a head, if the column name has two separate words, such as colors reported, when we want to create a new column in all these cases, we need to, and there is no other option, except using bracket notations. For the last one, we are going to see something together in no time. Please just type something that we learned from Python long before. For instance, if you say hello, if you say HE plus LLO, you're going to see it's going to concatenate those two together. I want you please say UFO, bracket notation city plus comma, single quote, comma, space, single quote plus UFO state. Please confirm if you see similar results by typing 2. Alvaro, thank you. William, thank you. Ivan. Ronald. Sorry. Okay. By saying that, now it's the time to create a new column. So let's say the new column that we want to have is location. Simply, you can say UFO bracket notation. Location, bracket notation. Location is equal to UFO city plus comma plus UFO state. And if you check the first 5 rows by saying UFO.head, you see actually it creates that column for us at the end. It places it at the end of the data frame, right? Okay, I give you a few seconds. Whenever you are done, please type 3. Bravo. Excellent. By saying that, we are already done with slide number 3, and we are ready to move to the next question. And that is a particular thing that we always ask ourselves. When do we use parentheses, and when we don't need to use parentheses? For instance, for shape, do we need to use parentheses or not? For head, do we need to use parentheses or not? This is something that's quite confusing for us when we start working with Panda. So let's just see what we can learn from the style that Pandas uses here. Okie doke. So let's, as always, pull up a data frame. Please, if you haven't done that, say import pandas as PD, and then let's pull up the IMDb ratings and place it into a variable named movies. And please check the first 5 rows by saying movies.head. I would be thankful if you confirm when you're done with the first 3 lines by typing 4. Thank you, Anna. Excellent. Okay, if you are done with that, please type movies.describe. And if you check, you see it gives us some statistical analysis, some statistics about the columns that they are numerical columns. Thank you for letting me know. Not a problem. Those friends that they have issue for any reason with connection, it could be because of the lightning and the weather. The good thing is the class would be recorded, so you can access the class recorded session later. Okay. Okay, so you see that the describe gives us some statistics for the numerical columns that we have. Like, for instance, how many rows we could have, or the mean or the average and standard deviation for those columns, the minimum value the 25 percentile, and so on and so forth. Look at this one. For the shape, if we say movies.shape, it gives us just 979 rows and 6 columns. And if we say movies.dtypes, it says, okay, these are the column headers and these are the types of those column headers. My question for you is, for shape and data types, we do not see any parentheses. And for describe, we had parentheses. What can you infer from these two examples? This is describe, and this one is shape. Which one is property, or which ones are properties? Is there anyone who can pick the mic and talk, say 1, 2, 3? I just want to see if I can hear your voice as well.
1, 2, 3.
Testing, testing.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can hear you. So to ease the job, if it is easier for you, so Anand is saying that both are properties, but they are using magic functions to hide the implementation variables. That's one definition. I'm not sure. I just want to have our brainstorm here, say what we think could be true, and then we are gonna just summarize the ideas. Anybody else want to open the mic and start talking? Prakash said you can put the value inside the head. Okay, a close. So that is one of the features when we use parentheses, but can we come up with a little bit more general definition? If you want to pick a mic, please type 1 and start talking. So the one who types faster, they're gonna just have the priority in the line. And if there is no one, I'm gonna step in. Okay, let's go. Diego says, there are properties of the classes, no methods. When you say they, you mean shape and dtypes, right? Okay. The thing is, well, all of you are right in a sense. Whenever we say movies dot, it opens for us a kind of window. Everybody can see that, right? And it contains both methods as well as properties. The problem is we don't see any parentheses to distinguish these two, and we need to have prior knowledge, or we need to search, Google it, if that specific thing that we want to check, for instance, shape, is a property or it's a method. Let me tell you one thing. Imagine that in all these cases, a data frame is something like an object. So movies is a kind of object. If we say movies.shape, if we say that movies.dtypes, it's something like telling about the features or about the attributes of that object. Imagine that we talk about Reza, Reza.height, Reza.age, Reza.name. These are the samples that show the attributes of Reza. But if we say Reza.talk or Reza.eat, these are the actions. So these are more methods. And sometimes we know that we can pass some arguments, parameters to the actions. For instance, I can say Reza.talk in parentheses slowly, right? Does that make sense? Guys, were they clear? Thank you very much for sharing the documents, Anand. If the things that I mentioned are clear, please type 1 at the same time. I click on these two. Okay. Bravo. UI, Zoe, NS. Okay. Let's go to the next parts together. Now we could say methods use parentheses. This is something that can distinguish methods from the attributes, and attributes, they have no parentheses. Methods are more of actions, while attributes are more of descriptions. So in the describe, if we just get back there, we could say include equal object. Look at this one. When you say that, hey, just do not give me only statistics about the numerical columns, I want to have statistics for the object columns as well, means non-numerical. It starts giving us totally different set of values. Like the count is there out of 979. We have 975 unique values for content rating, for genre, and for, you see that for content rating, we have 976, while for genre, we have 16 unique values, right? For instance, we do not have 900 different genres. We have comedy, drama, action, horror, and so on. So it shows that. And what is the top, in other words, most frequent value in the genre? It's drama. And what is the most what is the frequency of that drama? We have 278 movies that their genre is drama, right? So as I told you, whenever you say movies and you press dot, it shows all those things, but we do not have any idea that, for instance, the head. Guys, please tell me, what is the head? Is it a method or a property? So M for method, P for property. Okay. That's a very good practice that we did together. If you remember, we used movies, for instance, or the data frame dot head, and we passed a number, right? We passed a number like 3. Whenever you are able to pass any parameter to what we have after dot, it shows that it's a method, right? Because we could say, give me 3 rows. Whenever we have something that it accepts parameters, then definitely it is a method. That's one of the indicators that we can just rely on to distinguish methods and properties. Okay. And some people distinguish between functions, and they say functions are what? Are in top level, and they are the actions that the library provides for us. So like pandas.read CSV file. While whenever we have some objects inside the Python, like a movies, which is a data frame that we created, whatever the action relevant to those objects are in the category of methods. In other words, we can say functions are more general, while methods are specific to the objects that we have in that environment. For me, I use them interchangeably, and I don't want to tease anybody by saying, okay, which one is function, which one is methods. Most people use them interchangeably. There are two namings for almost similar concept. Okay, this is for those friends that they want to use Anaconda. Whenever you press Shift and Tab, it gives you a quick help in a small window, and if you press it twice, the size of a window and the content that you have become wider and more informative. If you press it 3 times, the time that the window stays there for you becomes longer. And if you press it 4 times, it occupies part of the screen and divides the screen into 2 windows. This doesn't work in Colab, but it works in Anaconda. So you can use it in Jupyter Notebook if the case is the time that you want to have just a quick help and you don't want to search through the internet. These are the screenshots that I provided to show you what these things are. By saying that, guys, if everything so far was kind of smooth and nice to follow, please give me the last high five and type 5. And I just want to kick off the session by sharing something. So thank you, Anand, Ivan, Chloe, Huai, Enes, Zoe. Okay, the thing is, tonight I'm going to send an announcement and explain a little bit. We are going to have one folder as the final project proposal. If you have a group of 2 or a group of 3 or 5 maximum number, you don't need all of you submit one proposal, just one person. And it doesn't have any mark to upload a proposal, and it doesn't have any penalty if you don't. But the reason for doing so, as I mentioned in the previous lab, is to make sure that the scope of the project is reasonable and fine. I had in either side of the extreme people that they have chosen a huge topic for a project which is worth 10%, and we have lots of other things to do in the semester. Proposal for final project, the one that is 10%. And the due for that is week number 13. I had some people that they wanted to do a real applicable project, but the scope of the project was beyond what we could consider for. And I had some examples that group of 5, they did something that I even don't expect from an individual project. So this is not gonna be a kind of mandatory thing to do. Like, it's not mandatory to tell the proposal, but then you reduce the risk of losing any mark, but not defining a proper scale of the project. So tomorrow, as well as next week, we can discuss and just finalize based on the things that you have already mentioned. I'm going to just consider something like 0.1, like that's low things just to tell you that we have set, and I'm going to just type the comment in the submission folder to acknowledge that we discussed, and everything is fine. So we talked about the project scope. The question that I received from Ali is it in group or individuals? I gave this option for final project that you can do it individually or in a group of 2, 3, maximum 5 people. Did I answer your question, Ali? When do we register in the group? Donald, I want you to feel free to pick any member for your group. So you can just, also it is possible to pick people from different sections that they have this course with me. So it's not necessary to just pick people from the group that you already have the class, for instance, from 3 to 6 p.m. Did I answer your question, Donald? Okay. Is there any other concern or question? Before I say goodbye to all you beautiful people, I want to ask you, please go to assessment and the quiz, and please confirm by typing 7 if you see quiz 07. You don't need to start it right now. I just want to make sure that everybody can see that folder. Bravo. Thank you very much. Okay, I appreciate that you made it and you came to the session. Have a wonderful one and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye. You as well, Donna. Thank you, Iman. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.